they need to make that
Connection.
connection.
Yeah,
So,
which will be nice.
yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna
yeah,
change that area pretty significantly.
I think so too.
A lot of shakes that'll be had there. So
Yeah, and waffle fries, I think, isn't that?
yeah,
I'm not a Chick-fil-A fan, but
I might become. I don't know
I'm
Chick-fil-A
just not
very
a
well
chicken
myself.
fan.
you gotta
I,
try. They
they
have the
got
peppermint shake in the
got good
holiday
shakes
season.
and they
So
got good soda pop and their fries are
yeah,
good. So I shouldn't say I'm not a Chick-fil-A fan, just not chicken.
yeah, I agree.
So, Scott, have you got anything you're,
Well, I'm just trying to make sure that access easement is, I mean, you call it out here in this one call out, but the lines and the extent of where that goes, I'm just wondering if, there's a couple, just when it gets towards Gateway and seeing in between,
Uh huh.
is, eh, I'm getting confused just on your lines and how, where is the extent of that going and how is it, to me, it's a little bit unclear
Well, there's
where, where those lines are, or what you're trying to, the intent of what you're trying to do.
sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I need some clarification between the buildings there on lot one and how that comes into the street and how they access into Gateway.
So the lot one, there's that one cross access easement right next to Gateway. That can I come up and show?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you have these other lines. Is you
So-
saying this is part
So
of?
this is part of lot one. So this is why this cross access easement is in favor of lot six and lot seven. And so, because this is the driveway, already right now
Yeah, there's a driveway
going-
there, which comes to
Yep,
here.
so the lot line is right here, and so that's why this cross access easement is in favor of lot seven.
Is that also, is it jumping up and going just in this narrow spot?
No, it just comes to this.
Just comes to there.
Yep, so it's just along this line that's as defined with these bearings.
but since lot 7 is a southbound access only, then lot 1 and 6 don't have
Right.
access into lot 7.
Yeah.
Because it's southbound only.
Correct. Yeah.
Just wondering if we want to hatch that or just clarify, just clean it up from the easement lines versus the access lines. The dashes are really close. Maybe just before we record it.
Yeah.
Just some housekeeping in my.
Sure. I mean, we have that, that distance there, the the measurement that says the third, what is it, the 20,
Yeah.
the 29-foot cross access easement in favor.
85.
Yeah. I mean, we could hatch it too. I don't know. I kind of just tend to let the professionals delineate it the way they think is best. But if you feel like there needs to be
No, it's.
some type of hatch,
I'm not. Doesn't have to be hatched, but I'm just saying it.
yeah.
Maybe another call out where it continues and ties onto the one on lot one. In favor of lot 7. So 6 already has it, and the other ones have.
We could add another call out.
On lot 1, it says is in favor of lot 6. This is only one way, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's there, but it's, yeah,
We could add another one if you'd like.
well.
Michael drew this up with you, for you?
Curtis at
Curtis.
Civil Solutions Group, yeah, their surveyor. Yeah,
You've got to take draft off and get that signed for the final anyway, so.
yep. We could just add another call out on the cross access.
Couple little
Yeah,
things.
I can do that.
General, I'm in favor of the proposal. It's
Yeah.
just maybe just a little couple housekeeping.
That'd be great. We're just our closing date is January 3rd, so we're hoping to get the Mylar printed because as you well know, it takes a while to get all the signatures in place and hoping to get it before Christmas. So
Yeah, we can work through that.
yeah,
We have to do this a little different now, Danny, since state code changed and now planning commission's out of final plat business too.
yeah,
So, that falls on us to be the authority for the final plats. Since we're the administrative land use authority, we can't get together and discuss it without being in a public meeting.
okay,
So, normally we would have hashed all this out and then got
Sure.
back to you and said, here's what our plan is.
yeah,
But now, because of the way the new code changed,
yeah.
we have to do it like this.
And that's great. I mean, we did respond, just so you know,
Right.
So all the comments from the original review, we responded to those and to your comments on the analysis. So just
So let us just take this and just double check to make sure that the comments were addressed.
okay.
And, you know, because we're just getting
And-
this back and then,
And all the bubbles on this
Yeah,
sheet is
yep.
what you guys are both referring to right now?
Yeah,
exactly.
we just need addresses
Okay.
from somebody at the city. So
Would be you.
and so
I'll give you addressing and then I'll get the other
okay.
little, just double check that those bubbles got addressed and then,
Okay.
and then, so I guess that, in my opinion, we conditionally approve it that as we review and make sure the comments were addressed and we add addressing to the plat. And,
Okay,
then we can sign off on it.
so you want to make that in the form of a motion?
I do.
Okay. Do you want a second?
Sure, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Scott Archibald to approve the amended plat with the conditions that we review to make sure the previous review comments have all been addressed, and then we'll get the proper addressing and perhaps add some hash marks or another note a little bit to clear up to make sure everybody understands the cross-access from lots 1, 6, and 7 and how they're involved. Is that?
Sounds great.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay. That being said, we have a motion and a second. All those in, or is there any more discussion? Staff have anything? Colton? Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. So it's approved with those conditions, and now that it's approved with those conditions, we can work on it together and make sure that we get that taken care of, so.
Just a couple little housekeeping stuff.
Okay, if I just follow up sometime next week.
Mhm.
All righty.
Thanks, appreciate it.
I've checked my emails a couple of times. Have you heard anything from Melanie, Ryan? I do have some questions. I don't know about these guys, but I definitely have some questions on some of their notes. So I would like to suggest that we, well, since we don't have a representative, but also because I have questions that I feel like we need a representative here for, I'd like to suggest that we continue this to a future meeting when they can attend. Does anybody have a problem with that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, can I get one of you to make that motion then?
I'll make a motion that we continue our second agenda item, which is the Alder Square Pad H, till a further date.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Rob Stapley, second by Scott Archibald, that we continue our second agenda item. Shoot, where did the agenda go? Which was to discuss, review, and consider for approval the site plan for Alder Square Pad H. So the motion is to continue that to a future meeting. Any discussion or any comments from staff, Colton or Ryan, Ty, anything?
Is it appropriate to maybe discuss just a brief comments while we're here today in quorum and maybe
We
just
can
kinda,
do that.
And then,
Okay,
I mean,
well,
we can finish the motion, but
well,
I guess we should.
Leslie, we need to discuss before we vote on the
That's true.
motion.
That-
So,
well, I guess that's why I
We
brought
can
it
let
up.
the motion sit there. So what would you like to bring up?
Parking stalls, the way we were looking at your calculations, needed to be a little bit more, from my understanding.
That's one of the things that I wanted to ask them about. I printed this from home and I sent it to the computer here, and I didn't realize that it printed front and back. So it messed my pages up a bit, but they've got some directional arrows on one sheet that is kind of confusing. Oh, it's on sheet C 2.00. They show a red arrow coming out of that driveway as if it's not a two-way. I don't know what that red arrow means.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I would really like to talk to them about their stacking plan where these are both drive-throughs. It doesn't appear that they've got a lot of room
No,
for stacking.
The legend calls that red arrow a overflow flow path for the 100-year storm event.
Oh,
they're just pushing it out the
You know, it's like storm chamber failure overflow for water to head into Macy's instead of First North, I guess.
okay. That makes sense then.
From what we can tell by the size of the building and stuff like that, we're looking at 31 parking stalls, and there are, I don't know, I'm trying to find it, 27, 28, something like that, with their 10 overflow from the other,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, I don't,
Just for recording, just make sure you're talking to the mic.
sorry.
It's all right.
So parking stalls was a little short from what we can tell. And then just some minor stuff on size of parking stalls. Then I had one question, depending on how they orient and what they call the front, some of the stuff's a little too close to property lines unless they, you know what I'm saying? They're supposed to be so many feet away from property lines with it. But if they call the front on 100 North, or do they call it the other way? So kind of how are we looking at that?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
They also, on some of their landscaping notes, they talk about that, what did they say? Anyway, they can kind of make some changes in one of the notes, which I understand why they want to have that ability, but I think they need to not, they'll need to understand that if they want to make landscaping changes from what is proposed, they'll have to come back and provide us with those changes. I'm also a little bit concerned about the tree in, both those trees in the parking, not parking,
The islands.
the islands, because I'm afraid if they get too big, they may block views, and if we have two drive-throughs, there's definitely the potential for a lot of traffic. And so we'll have to check with sight distances and,
I didn't check what kind of trees they were.
yeah, they're, they, I didn't look them up.
That was the
but-
same comment we had here also from our end, the parking, or the trees in the islands.
Yeah. Anything else you have, Scott?
Just going through some notes from staff. Let me make sure I'm,
Rob?
No, not really. I mean, construction drawing type notes probably aren't too critical at this stage, but there may be some construction drawing quirks.
on the
that need to be
plat,
ironed
I
out.
did have a question.
that I'm
Where did
seeing.
the plat go? Did I print the plat?
I think somebody said something or noted at some point in front of me about if this building is going to be split and have the ability for multiple owners within the singular structure, that they might ought to have separate utilities, and how they make sure they cross their Ts and check their boxes related to making sure they do that properly. Because they're only showing the one water and the one sewer feeding this building.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, if there's multiple tenants or multiple owners, more importantly, in that building, how our code reads in relation to that.
So remind me how we do, is there a master meter for these?
Well, they're planning on installing an 1.5 meter for and that 1.5 meter would serve.
Service the whole building.
And we will
Yeah, I don't know
read,
if there's 2 or 3 or 4 units in this building,
so
but
is this one that we go in and read all of the meters? It's not our typical build the master meter and they figure out it,
almost all AmSource has their own individual meters.
that
other
we
than
go read?
that we go read, yes.
Okay,
But like the small frontage between Family Dollar and Macy's, they're all on the singular meter. But Family Dollar has its own meter, Macy's has its own meter. But this building is looking like they're designing it more like Black Bear Diner / whatever it is now, Morty's. So they share a singular meter, and there's different owners. So there's ways to maybe make that happen. I just want to make sure we do it right.
well, I think we'll have to find out, because I think the owner is remaining as AmSource.
They're not selling that
And
property.
the tenants, there's tenants, but we'll have to find that out. I don't think they're asking to, because they're not showing that they're subdividing that building, that they're condomizing
Yeah.
the building. So I think it's gonna be one building with 2 tenants. Normally, we don't make them do
Separate
separate
meters
meters
for
if
that.
they're tenants.
If they're tenants and all the ownership's under AmSource, and they will be more or less paying the bill.
Yeah,
AmSource.
but that's something we still need to clarify with AmSource when they come.
I agree with what you're saying there. I had one thing just to kind of catch up on this kind of all development that's going down there. On the Macy's parking lot on the plat, there's like a 9-foot alleyway that goes out to the road on the plat, and these guys are looking like they're building, or the roadway actually extends, and that would be kind of splitting that road that goes out to 100 North. That property line is kind of like right on the line.
This packet doesn't have the
There was a packet,
plat for Alder in it.
there's
Well,
a plat in
You can,
was given to us.
you can see it on this
Yeah, let's see one.
this page. You can see how here's the access road coming in. Here's the access road coming in. Sorry, Ryan.
And there's just 9 feet between right here, but then their improvements are going over in there. I'm wondering if we need an easement, or does that need to be dedicated? How have you in the past, or is that just part of their improvements, like their driveway, or I mean their parking lot? Does that need to be, to me, the access easement and just open for everybody to cross it from Macy's and everybody going through there would need to be added to the plat?
I think if it's not, I think it does need to be, yes. We'd want to make sure that that's clearly
That everybody can access that.
delineated,
Mhm.
that this property owner couldn't come and cause great grief with the
Holding.
inbound
Mhm. That's the
traffic.
way I feel. So there's a few little comments on the plat like that we just need to make sure that are addressed.
Bless you. Anything else, Rob?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Ty, have you got those comments so that when we do these minutes, we can send those? She can hear those comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can provide, we have a handful of comments just as we've gone through to address. We can give them to her too, as we've kind of done our
Give her some-
review.
A head start on some of those.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily speak of everyone here at this, but a lot of it's just little cleanup stuff, but for the most part, the overall development is good, and just some cleaning up of a few things. Stormwater, this is probably the other one, is the stormwater calculations, they're falling back to the rational method and not doing the SCS method, so that's gonna be a thing we're gonna have to keep pushing
Yeah.
till everybody gets there. So the stormwater's gonna grow just a little bit, the size of the pond and the infrastructure in there to make sure it's handled properly.
Notice they're planning a very large stormwater chamber under that parking lot in this one.
Yeah,
Should just
and it's just
Make it bigger.
slightly bigger, just to handle based on the other calculations. So there's a few little things like that, but.
Good to know. Good to reference.
Okay.
On the bigger plans, Rob, is this, what is this? Is this concrete? This
Yeah.
speckledy area?
Yeah, what page are you on?
I'm on page C100.
Yeah, that's concrete.
Well, they'll need to adjust that because the ordinance calls out that it's got to be partially landscape material. 5 feet of it can be concrete, but 5 feet's got to be some type of decorative rock or,
Right up against the building.
yes, yeah. So that will have to be a change. And I well, I know they have their tree count and their call out as to how many of each tree, but I didn't see where they provided the summary data. They provide the summary data for the building area, the developed area, the landscaped area, but I didn't see where they provided the summary data for how many trees. I think they need to just give us a little bit more summary data for the landscaping.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You say there was a pretty good development summary on L1.00,
Right,
but it's lacking a little bit.
yeah. It's very good as far as the building area, the hardscape versus the landscape, but it's not so great as if they've given us the right amount of trees for the square footage and whatnot. So we'll need to have that as well.
Rob, is there a fire line? I don't necessarily see a fire line into the building, but is there one in the Macy's parking lot area close? Are you aware?
Well, the main water line does go right in front of this lot on the south side of the building,
Okay.
and so they should be able to do it, I thought.
I think Aaron made mention of that in his review, didn't he?
Yeah, so the water line,
Just right there, they could.
yeah, right up this main
Okay.
farthest north parking area in
A
Macy's.
building of this size most likely will need a.
Where's the utility plan? I thought they actually showed a fire line.
Did I
from
miss that?
State.
If you see it, tell me what sheet you're on.
So
Site civil details we have.
on page 1 of Aaron's letter, pretty sure that's, yeah. On page 1 of Aaron Walker's letter, he addresses fire hydrants. And he says there are 2 existing fire hydrants, 393 and 388, within 400 feet of all of the buildable areas of the lot. So the fire line and the hydrants are already existing that he would intend to use. And he does talk about the approved water supply as well.
He was okay with the current location distances, and quantities, and flow rates of the existing hydrants then?
That's what he's got, yes.
I don't see a fire line on here. I must be thinking about a different.
Danny's.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A or something, because, yeah, it just shows the 1.5 meter. It doesn't show a connection to the fire line. So that's probably a important note for AmSource to take into account for what type of businesses they'll be wanting to put in there. They'll probably have to have one.
We'll just note it as a question on ours. Is it needed, and let them respond.
Sounds good. Is there any preliminary stuff that we ought to have them do in regards to their pre-treatment sewer, the grease trap separator.
Yeah, definitely. If they, if we don't know what business is, we'd highly recommend it, to put it in versus coming after with, specific business.
In the past, I've always kind of just deflected that need for them to contact Logan City, cross their T's and boxes, because they're the ones that inspect and maintain all those grease traps in town. So I guess that's another pertinent note for them.
Yes, that they need to contact Logan City regarding grease traps.
Yeah, that they're proposing another one and let them sign off on its design.
Okay.
Do they do that as part of the site plan, Rob, or do they do that as part of the building permit?
I would think it would go with the site because they got all the drains and sewer lines and all of that stuff going in, and it's just part
Okay.
of that
Yeah,
that system.
Okay.
But it is
Well, either way,
noted that
giving
that
them a
it-
heads up is a good
yeah,
thing to do.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
okay. Anything else?
No.
Nope.
I do want them to show how they are going to manage the traffic for their stacking. Because we definitely do not want cars coming in off of 100 North and stacking in the driveway of 100 North and out on 100 North. All stacking, so they'll have to come and not go down the first aisle. They'll have to come and go down the second aisle and back up the first aisle to enter in so that the stacking heads west down that parking aisle.
It seems like a pretty long distance around the whole building for stacking it in its own area. But then again, like you said, without knowing what's coming, if that's a Dutch Brothers on one side and a Swigs on the other, that's a huge problem. Like you said. So hint, hint, they should probably come here. Dutch Brothers, Swigs, yeah. They do really well, and that causes traffic stacking issues.
Yeah.
They do have a pretty good queue around the building, but like you said, it just depends on the business.
And I guess their interesting design for a double drive-through should work.
It's the same way that Johnny O's and not Jersey Mike's, whatever the subplate, Jimmy John's.
I've never been through that one.
Yeah, it's that same idea where you come up and this traffic traffic going around to Jimmy John's has to stop. No, the traffic in Johnny O's stops while the traffic in Jimmy John's goes around, and then the traffic in Johnny O's goes out the other way. This one's a little different in that they're having them come across and out the same way. But
Little give and take going on there, and
yeah,
then
but the theory is the same. So
yeah, it's definitely set up for 2 drive-throughs. So
yeah,
Is it set up so our garbage truck can go out that drive-through? Because we're gonna have to back through a mess when we dump that can.
yeah, you're just not going to pick up, or the way they've got it aligned. We noted that, but it kind of meets the requirement. But I don't know where you want to push it towards 100 North and get it a little bit more straight as you come into it, or
That's kind of what I was thinking. If that can was further north on more of an angle or something.
he's just trying not to cover his
Right,
sign.
'cause you're almost making a 90-degree turn and then backing into a great big truck that was parked in one of those last 2 stalls on the north side. And then you've got to back all the way out because you're never going to turn that truck around on a busy day. Unless we get there at 4 in the morning. You're going to have to try to navigate that drive-through with a big truck. It
so
probably won't work.
so aren't they front load trucks? So he would pull into the garbage place, right? He comes in, pulls into the garbage place,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then you have to
back out of the garbage place, and then he goes down
And out the,
and
out
out
one of
the
the
out.
outs.
if we can get around the drive-through.
I think we can get around with the double.
If you think we can get that truck through that drive-through area, as long as they don't have some clearance thing, if these have little,
Arms or
yeah, arms and clearance rods and stuff like that, we can't get out that direction, that's becomes quite the hazard to get that truck out of that parking lot.
well, where his bottleneck is gonna be is right there where that crossed line is. Because once he can get past that cross line, then this is open traffic for people to wanna, to just go out. But that little area right there, that would be as, cause there could well be some type of, something more than striping there. I don't
What if,
think they gave us a signage plan, did they?
One of these back pages. Look at what page that.
I think that's one other thing we would want to see in this particular situation is how they're gonna sign, where their signs are going to be, so that we can make sure that the
isn't that a
fire
sign?
vehicles
Isn't
and
that a sign
everything.
right there?
This is, yes, but I'm talking about the signs that will be in, like the menu
I got
signs
you.
and whatnot.
I'm with you.
Because I know that Aaron said that they could get their fire truck around through there, or that they could, there was
Mhm.
adequate for them to fight a fire. But just want to make sure that they're not going to put a menu board or something in a place that won't work for the garbage truck or the fire truck or other large truck.
I'll add menu plans and stuff like that to our site
Okay.
comments.
Any other? Colton, do you have any? Okay. Ryan or Ty? Okay. So we have our motion on the table. We've had our discussion on the things that we would like to see happen between now, when they come back from, to continue it. So that being said, I will take a vote on the motion to continue this to a future meeting when the applicant can be in attendance. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion passes. This is continued. I don't have any other items of business on our agenda, so unless there's something that someone wants to bring up that we put on a future agenda, speak now or forever hold your peace. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion to adjourn by Rob Stapley, second